moldy chocolate?
The tardigrade?
I'm Jasmine.
Swear on Satan, I'll do that. That's my headcanon.
Okay, into it, all of it.
I'm Mells.
I love it. Dumb.
Wait a minute. And if you're watching TV,
I love it. Make sure it's damn fine TV.
This is amazing. That was awesome. Oh my God. Okay.
Not giving a good goddamn about trigonometry. I'm Jasmine.
And masturbating in a depressed fashion, I'm Mells.
Welcome to Damn Fine TV's We're Obsessed.
This time around, we're covering Yellowjackets, Season 1, Episode 1, Pilot.
Patrons, when it comes to this show, we've got the wild enthusiasm of Misty Quigley at a pep rally and the fervor of Jeff Sadecki giving Jackie some downstairs fun, though we do hope to perform much better than him. Anyways, let's buzz. We almost got it. One day we're going to nail that and it's going to blow everyone away.
Straight out of the way.
Yes. Well, Yellowjackets. Here we are again.
Well, wow. Here we are. Well. So I just want to say this before I give the summary.
Okay. I
had not gone back to rewatch Yellowjackets since the finale. There's really no reason why. So every episode I had only really seen once, except for maybe a few bits and pieces when I was trying to put together a couple of things. But so revisiting it, I'm not gonna lie, there just knowing what we know when we get to the finale, there were just a few parts where I literally cried and I was like, get it together, stop crying. But it hit on such a much more emotional level this time through. So, but I'm so happy that we're doing this for this month's we're obsessed, because it was just now I can't wait to just go ahead and watch all the other episodes and get back to the finale. It was just so great.
I was so worried there for a minute. My heart was racing because I thought you were going to say, I'm not going to lie. I'm watching it again. I don't know if I like it as much. I was so nervous.
No, if anything, I loved it on a much deeper level, if that's even possible. So
I agree. I feel like, well, this will be my third time through because I tried to catch up. Not catch up, but before the finale aired, I wanted to go back and watch everything so that it was all fresh in my mind before the night of the finale. But same, since it aired, I haven't gone back to watch. And so I already knew it kind of had rewatch value, but then watching it this time, I was like, oh my God, I'm picking up on so much still this time around, which to me, that's the hallmark of a good show. So
Absolutely. All right. For a summary, this is very high level again, because I found myself having a hard time writing a summary, not in the same way that I did for International Assassin, because that was a whole different level. But mainly because I didn't want to get too wordy. I wanted to just get high level and then us have our discussions around other points within the episode. But we meet a team of soccer players in 1996 in New Jersey who are on their way to nationals when tragedy strikes, and then we join them in present day as the mysteries begin to unravel again.
Great.
Yeah. Like I said, because there was so much more I wanted to write, and I was like, that's not in this episode yet.
Right. Well, and I think that's, a good place to say too, we're going to try to have a kind of non-spoilery discussion up front, meaning there will be spoilers for this pilot episode, but we assume people watching this will at least have watched the pilot. But then later, we're going to just dive into theories and stuff anyway for later on in the season. So so up front, no spoilers. So that was a great summary for the no spoilers. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, okay, so we thought maybe we could chat about the two different timelines and keep that like what is the sort of spoilery free stuff. But I don't know, like, is there a certain thing you want to touch on, or did you want to give more overall thoughts? I know for me, I really, really want to touch on specifically like the winter sequence is what I'm calling it. And then I'm fine to go anywhere from there.
I mean, yeah, same. So again, like knowing how everything, because I mean, we're left pretty much, I mean, knowing that they're going to have a plane crash on their way
Right.
to the championship. So the way that this show peppered in these little flashes of moments that you haven't even gotten to into the finale, just so we're all clear on that. I mean, these little flashes that we got in the pilot episode, yeah, like we start to understand how things kind of start unraveling once the crash happens. But as far as these specific scenes, like we don't get any more about the whoever this is with the antlers and who this person is that
Who
they
fell
are
in the pit?
in the
Like,
pit, and are they eating, what are they eating, like, so all of that is still for the most part a mystery. And that's what I love about it, is that it did such a great job of peppering in the doom of what's going to happen to this group of, you know, girls or high school students, but balancing that with just their lives like pre-crash and then obviously post-crash, but 25 years later, you know. So it just struck this beautiful like continuity. Like the parts where they did the flashes, I didn't feel confused at all. Like it all was just, it flowed so nicely.
oh yeah.
And I mean, I love this show. Gosh, I cannot wait for the next season, obviously, but it is also a kind of show that draws you in. I mean, for me, it was like right off the bat, point blank, like I was in it and I was in it all the way through. And it just, so overall, I love it.
Yeah.
I can't wait for more. I can't wait to do my rewatch. And just the showrunners on this show, the cast, the story, it is chef's kiss perfection. Like it is so good. I obviously since Twin Peaks, I haven't seen anything that I've gotten into like this in a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Pre-Twin Peaks was Castle Rock for me.
Right.
Then I got into Twin Peaks, and now for me, it's like now it's the Yellowjackets show, and it's just great. Oh,
Yeah, I agree. It has the same sort of, I guess, obsessive qualities, or just like I was just saying, the value on the rewatch, like you're still picking up so many different things and learning more about the mystery as you move your way through. And you talking about the showrunners did remind me that I do have damn fine facts just kind of about who's behind the camera on this show. So the pilot episode was written by Ashley Lyle and Bart Nickerson, who are also the showrunners. And from what I can tell, I mean, they work together, it seems, on most projects. Like they're clearly writing partners. And they've done a few television shows, but the only things I recognized were Dispatches from Elsewhere, which I never actually watched, but I saw a lot of ads for and thought it looked really cool. And then The Originals, which is the Vampire Diaries spinoff. So I'm just like kind of blown straight out the way that these two people gave us this show. I mean, I don't know how the industry really works. Like, I don't know if they had to kind of get their start in other stuff so that they could get the trust of a network or something so that they can sell their script. Like maybe that's the case, but personal opinion, I'm going to say that this is far and above what The Originals is.
yes, I would agree.
Yeah. And then the episode was directed by Karen Kusama, who directed an episode of The Outsider, a show that we covered way back when. I think you are into Halt and Catch Fire, or you were into Halt and Catch Fire when it was on. She also did at least an episode of that. She's the director of Jennifer's Body, which I've still never seen, but I know is like a huge I know. I have to see it. I know.
Okay, that's going on Sunday Scaries. If we ever get to that,
Ooh,
I have
like
to
that.
see your reaction to Jennifer's Body. I have to see it in real time.
Okay.
None of this, like I watched it and let's talk about it. I want to see it in
Okay.
real time with you.
Well, either way, we should just watch it then.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah.
it is such a
I've heard
good
such
movie.
good things.
Oh,
Yeah.
I can't. Okay. I mean, I shouldn't say I can't believe, because I'm going to be truthful when it comes to Jennifer's Body. It was a while before I watched it because I just didn't know that much about it.
I didn't
and
know
then,
that it was what it like. Now that I've read descriptions of it, I mean, because it's with Megan Fox, I think I just always assumed it was something much different.
yeah. But
Which
she
is
is so
unfortunate.
good.
But
I know.
it also came out in a time when I wasn't watching horror.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it kind of flew off my radar. But the other thing that really stood out to me from Karen Kusama's kind of resume is The Invitation. That's like not a very well-known horror movie, I don't think, but have you seen it?
I have. Yes.
I love that movie.
Yes.
It is super slow and is very frustrating, but it has this very like slow build of dread. And I think that Karen brought that to this pilot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's funny because when you look at her resume, and then you watch the pilot, you can see so I'm not saying like I definitely saw Jennifer's Body, or I definitely saw, like it's not that, but you can tell someone's line of work. And
okay.
the slow burn that you're talking about, and then also like when it comes to how certain scenes look and the emotion, or like how it plays off of something tapped inside of you, like a nostalgia or something to make you feel like you are actually there in the moment, and it's just done so well. So it's not surprising when you find out that that's the person that did it based on the other things that they've done, because immediately you're like, oh, I had those same feelings during these other things that they had done as well. So yeah, especially Jennifer's Body, because the time period and then the age range, so it plays a lot on the nostalgia and being a female or whatever at a certain age, and like all of these things really play so well into a very crazy horror movie on top of that. So it's really
cool. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to watch that now. Well, that's all I've got for Damn Fine Facts. I just wanted to chat about the people that put it together. So yeah, want to talk about all those winter scenes?
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. So something I noticed this time around that I probably wouldn't have been paying attention to this, like, okay, whatever. Let me just say it. Every time we cut to one of these winter scenes, apart from obviously the opening scene, because it's just how the episode opens, we are with Nat. So not every time we're with Nat, but every time we cut to a winter scene, we have just been with Nat, whether it's younger Nat, adult Nat. I don't know what that means. I don't know if it means anything, but it's definitely something that as I was going through, I was like, yep. And from Nat cut to, and I was just like, this has got to mean something. Like, why have they chosen this character? Is it on her mind? Is she thinking about this the most? But then, at the end of the episode, we have Shauna rereading her journals. So she could also be thinking back to it. I mean, it would stand to reason that any of these girls would be thinking back to these moments at any given time. But why Nat? I don't know. Is that something you noticed or?
Definitely. And it really stood out to me in the party scene when she takes the drugs. And
younger Nat. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Younger Nat. Yes. And then we get the whole, I called it, it's funny because it's like a flashback / flash forward, because really,
yes,
it's that it hasn't happened yet, but it is considered a flashback for us in the present day, which I found that to be so fucking cool. Like, obviously I wouldn't have picked up on that the first time through, because we didn't know what the hell was going on through this first pilot. I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so when you get through the first season and you rewatch it, you're like, well, this is very interesting that Nat has, gets high at the party. But we then cut to all of these moments like in the winter scenes, but it intertwines with her visions and hallucinations, like seeing Misty and all that. I found that to be incredibly I don't think telling's the right word, but it was very interesting.
Yeah.
And I don't know if
I mean, it feels like we're being sent some sort of message, because if it had just been, I don't know, like if we had been with Shauna and then cut to one of the winter scenes, and then with Ty and then cut to one of them, I'd be like, well, that's a nice way to kind of wrap them all together in this. But there's something about that visual language of it being Nat, winter scene, Nat, winter, like why? I want to know why.
Yeah. And I mean, I also found it interesting, not that I don't think she's meant to be the focal point of the pilot, but maybe it is everything surrounding Nat, like how we get introduced to her. She's at her rehabilitation, and then we get the conversation with Shauna and Ty later when Shauna asks about Nat. But the whole thing with Natalie catching the red eye back home, I mean, like, just everything seemed a little more focused on why is this person, like Natalie, why is she coming back home to what she found her purpose, or like what she needs to do. So I found it very centered on Nat. And so again, I don't know if that's purposeful. But I just picked up a lot more on Natalie in the pilot.
Yes.
This time around.
I think first time through, probably even second time through, Shauna is who immediately comes through, and she feels like she is the central character pretty much, at least in 2021. But this time it did feel like way more of a balance between her and Shauna, and Ty and Misty kind of felt not background, but not as central. So
right. At this point, just like surface introductory.
Yes.
It felt very centered around Shauna, for present day, Shauna and Nat, and then the group as a whole. I think when we did the flashbacks, but yeah, for present day, I felt like we got more sort of insight into Natalie and Shauna than we maybe did with Ty, and then definitely with Missy. I feel like Missy present day, we were just starting to get the like worm on the hook with her. So
exactly. Yes. Yeah. That part that you're talking about, when Natalie's at the party, young Natalie, she's done the drugs, she's looking into the fire, and she sees young Misty, but like, does she actually see young Misty? And it is the first time that I've really thought, like, I love that you use the word, it's technically kind of a flash forward, because it hasn't happened for this Nat. And I mean, the way that they're playing around with how they're telling the story, like the different timelines, that sort of dual structure, it's great. But it was the first time where I really started thinking like, okay, there could be some time fuckery in this show. Like, it is possible. I think it's not that I had written it off before, but maybe we should save that for later for more spoilery stuff too. Yeah. But anyway, other stuff with the winter scenes, I started wondering if the girl that falls in the pit, is it also for sure the girl that's getting strung up? Because the girl that's getting strung up does not look like she's had a bunch of stakes through her, right?
Yeah. So that's, obviously, I just want to say this up front. First of all, this is the kind of show that infuriates me when it comes to Reddit. When I go on Reddit, I like to look at shows like American Horror Story, because I just like to hear people just throw it out, because I can imagine must be what The Return felt like in real time when it comes to Reddit and trying to figure out what's going on. It's very frustrating, but I will say this, on this time around, I feel like we were just getting a bunch of intercuts of these winter scenes, but I do not think the person being strung up and their throat cut is the person that fell in the pit. I also tried to pay really close attention to the little bit of facial shots that we got of the person running, like in the opening scene.
Right.
Because even though the hair looks similar, to me, it just does not feel like it's congruent. Meaning, I don't feel like they chased this person into the pit and then drugged them and strung them up and then ate them, presumably.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that it's a bunch of things being pieced together. And it feels chaotic, but it feels chaotic in a good way. Because I like being able to sit here and think, okay, like, what are we looking at in terms of time here? Because it could really be any time, I think, in the past, like since the crash occurred. So,
and it's brilliant because the fact that all of those sequences are happening when there's snow on the ground, and we do see some similar style outfitting from whoever we're watching. So it feels like it could be all the same thing. Like we're watching a day in the life of whoever these chicks are or whoever these people are.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, when you really sit and break it down, you're like, well, do the scenes have to match up, or could they just be from different things? Like the one thing I will say that makes me think it is all happening in the past in terms of like in the 90s. It's just the shirt that we see the person wearing. I mean, I was going to say the pink Converse, but like I have a pair of pink Converse right now, so I can't like tie that to the past. But the shirt that we know belongs, we can see, fuck, is that a spoiler already? Am I already ruining things? The shirt that we know is Vanessa's.
Perhaps. I don't know if we, but that's the thing. Okay, it doesn't have to be.
Apologies if it is.
No. Oh, wait, I can rectify this. It doesn't have to be spoilery because I think I don't think this is a spoiler, but let's look at this holistically. Meaning, you've crashed. You're obviously, because by the end of the episode, we know that they've obviously been out there a while. Okay. I mean, we see the flashes of Shauna's journal, etc. We know they were out there for a while throughout the pilot. I don't think at this point it's not feasible to maybe think that the clothing that they have, they're all sharing at some point, because I mean, like,
oh yeah, possibly, for sure.
So us saying that that's Van's shirt or somebody else's pink Converse or what, that doesn't necessarily mean that we know who's doing what.
Oh yeah, no, I don't know who's wearing the shirt. I have no idea. I just know that the shirt, we've seen it the most on Van. So that's what makes me think that it's taking place.
Yeah, I don't think that's spoilery though, because honestly, I mean, I think the way it's set up, it is set up for you to think that it's all like 25 years ago present, if that makes sense. And so, yeah, I mean, that would be something that all of those girls have had taken with them because it was their soccer players for.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And then the only other thing is that at the final scene, which I think might be just the end of the episode. No, the end of the episode is on the plane. But the final scene that we see from these like winter sequences is as the camera's pulling away and the people are walking away from the fire, we do see the plane. So we know that wherever this is happening is not far from the plane crash site. So yeah. But it was so great to like watch all of that super closely this time, because every other time, I mean, we're doing this under the title of We're Obsessed. Like I was zooming through these episodes because I just wanted to consume it. So
yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of all I also had really about those winter scenes. I really just was more interested, like we've talked about, the moments when we got the flashbacks, either in present timeline or in 1996 when we got those. So that was very interesting to me. The circumstances surrounding like when we would get those flashbacks for sure.
Yeah. Definitely super interesting. Yeah. Well, do you have anything you really wanted to touch on from the 1996 plot line? I have something right away that's so tiny.
Yeah,
the pink and green thing from Jackie. I mean, it's so funny to me because she calls it classic preppy meets Palm Beach. And I mean, I feel like we have to put out a poll or something about whether or not that's what our logo is evoking for people, because we are pink and green. Like those are the colors. I mean, pink is definitely sort of in the background of the logo. It's mostly green. I'm wearing pink and green just, to represent today. But I just think it's so funny that like the two best friends of the show, we're going to have this pink and green color scheme. It's fantastic.
Oh, I loved it. I mean, and you actually brought it to my attention because obviously I caught up before the penultimate episode. So, and I didn't even pick up on that because I wasn't zooming through. I mean, I was paying attention, but I was just going through them so quickly that a lot of those details like that fell to the wayside because
it's such a small detail too.
But I love it. I love that it. We're like the 6 degrees of TV, really. Like, I
mean,
it is
no big deal.
We're the Kevin Bacon of TV. One thing I do want to say about 1996 is I love how they already laid a great foundation in the pilot episode of this group of girls as a team and also as individually. I thought they did such a great job, especially when it comes to Shauna and Jackie. They're best friends, obviously. But you can kind of start to see, and obviously it escalates like the further we get through the season, but I wouldn't say a rift is starting to form, but there's definitely tension between Jackie and Shauna. And you can tell it in little moments, like when Shauna's getting dressed for the party and Jackie's like, just wear what I told you to wear. And she's like, I don't want to wear what you like. You could just tell this dynamic. Like Jackie gets into Shauna's car, who's giving her a ride to school. She automatically turns her music off and turns on the music Jackie wants to listen to. So you can really, they laid such a great foundation, even before we get to the part where you find out that Shauna is having sex with Jeff, like of this slow kind of. And I had a high school best friend that I was best friends with up until just a few years past. And I feel very tapped into that because I don't think that it's not you're comparing yourself, but it's like when you're so close to someone for so long that these things start to, I think, just organically happen anyway in friendships. There's an ebb and flow, but then also when you get to the big scene where you find out that Shauna and Jeff have been having sex and Jackie and Jeff have not, the betrayal, it just that foundation work that they laid, specifically between Jackie and Shauna, fantastic.
I agree.
Another thing also is that Jackie has already planned out the way that their dorm room is going to look at Rutgers, but obviously Shauna wants to go to Brown. I mean, we see
the acceptance letter. Yeah.
And then the reporter brings it up to Shauna. I mean, like you were accepted into Brown. Like I just obviously just did not catch all of that. It was just so great to really, I guess, look at it under a microscope after seeing the whole season and see how they were laying that down really early on. So good.
It's really detailed writing for sure. Yes. Yeah. And you're right. It is little moments like Jackie getting into the car and switching to her own music. It's so simple, but it so quickly sets up a character and a dynamic. Yeah.
A controlling, like you feel that Jackie is and I don't mean controlling in like I don't think that she's meaning to be that way, but I think the more you're starting to say she's the more dominant friend out of the friendship, which is very interesting because Shauna, who you wouldn't think is the dominant one, is being very like betraying her best friend in this really terrible
they
way.
make it such a complex friendship, because honestly, I come away from the pilot not disliking or loving either of them. Like seeing that they're really complex and there's a lot to like and there's a lot to dislike about each of them.
Yeah.
You know, like it's not as easy as being like, oh my God, she's my favorite character. Like, but yeah.
So really that's all I wanted. I mean, I have a few more things, like obviously like in my top moments that are centered around 1996 that I want to save, but I just, and to move away from like Jackie and Shauna's dynamic, I just love how they've set up like who Laura Lee is, who Ty is, who Van. I mean, like all of these, they don't get a lot of it, Natalie especially. And see, that's another thing, is outside of Jackie and Shauna's friendship in 1996, we get a lot of center on Natalie in 1996 and how she's perceived not only by her teammates but also other kids in the school, like the whole burnout scene with show me your tits and all of that. It's so that's why I say like I didn't really notice how centered it really was around Natalie, and I'm here for it because obviously what we get on later in the season, but I love that they're setting up Natalie to be like, she's just not like the others. She's she's different, but we don't know what kind of way yet, and I love it.
Yeah, totally agree. What else from 96? Well, actually, I did have a question for you. So there's this whole thing about Allie, who, by the way, does not have a, never mind. No.
I already know what you're thinking.
Oh, no, wait, but we see her in the beginning. She's being interviewed by Jessica, and she has a massive fucking accent, and there's zero accent in 96. So I don't know if, I don't know. I don't think that's how it works when you live in the same place your whole life, but I don't know.
No. Well, we'll move on. Listen, this is not spoilery, because even if you haven't watched past episode 1, I'm not afraid to tell everybody that I hate Allie, and we can just move on from that.
Correct. But I always forget that that's her in the beginning.
Me
but
too.
It is.
It shocked me because I was like, what? I don't recall her. Like, I just didn't recall 2021 or whatever, like, Allie at all. Until later on, obviously, in the season. So.
Well, I remember thinking like that has to be Allie or somebody else on the team, because why else would she be interviewed? Like at first, the interviewees seemed so separate, like they seemed like so disconnected, and then I realized, okay, we've got Randy, we've got a teacher, this one's Allie who was on the team, so that kind of helped it all come together. But so this whole thing about Allie, where she's not up there yet, like she's not playing at the same level as the main girls in the show, basically. And Ty has this whole idea to like ice her out or push her and make her a better player, but it ends up obviously with Allie's leg being broken. Do you think, based only on what we know about Ty from the pilot, do you think she did this on purpose?
From the pilot, no. I wouldn't get that. I think they did again, you're going to hear me say this a lot. I think they did a great job of showing obviously we see much more of it later on, but already a duality to Taissa that I really like is that she wants, well, first of all, she doesn't want Allie to play at all. And then when nobody gets on board with her, she's like, fine, then I will try to push her at practice to be better. And then that will help us in the long run. So based on the pilot alone, I really believed Ty after the incident when she was like, I did not mean for her to get hurt.
Right.
I believed it. I really did. Like,
and
it's funny because when you see it happen, like when she actually, sweeps her and then we see the bone. At first I was like, Ty, like you did that on purpose. But then in the locker room and then again at the party, I felt she was very sincere when she was like, I did not.
I agree. Yeah.
So it came off very sincere to me. But again, I love that they're already setting up the dualities of, because she's trying to get everybody on the team to just ice Allie out, and then she kind of tries to take it into her own hands. But when something bad happens, she's very remorseful about it. So
I agree. And I think like she definitely took things too far. But that was also a great way to show how determined Taissa is and how much of a fight she has. Regardless of whether or not she did it on purpose or feels remorseful, like she was willing to go to that length to win.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm good on 96. So if we move into 2021 and just want to stick with Taissa, I even in my notes here, like we don't get much from adult Taissa in the beginning, but she's so hard to read as an adult for me on this pilot watch, because there was something, in that photo shoot scene, there was something really sincere and sweet and fun and funny even about the way she's interacting with her wife. But then as soon as she's turned back to the camera, she becomes this like really cold, guarded, different person. And I think that's fine. Like, I mean, we all act differently between people we love and people we barely know. But again, just in terms of, like you're already saying, the setup of these characters and who they are, that was just also an effortless way to do that, to have that within that scene and all the different dynamics that are coming to play. So,
yeah, for sure. And you're right. Like, I really, I didn't have a lot of opinions on adult Taissa until the end of the episode when she meets up with Shauna in the diner. I mean, not that I guess I shouldn't say I didn't have opinions, but I mean, just like you are saying right now, like I kind of started to get the groundwork, and I want to apologize right now about my camera. It's doing something weird, so that you will see glitches. I'm sorry.
I mean,
but
guys, I have no idea what the quality of my video is going to turn out to be, because when we record,
let everyone know.
Yeah.
I can tell it's glitching, so I'm sorry. But you're right. There's definitely, and this actress, I had never seen her in anything before this.
No,
but
neither have I.
We talk a lot.
Tawny Cypress, I think.
Yeah, we talk a lot about acting, like facial acting. This adult Taissa has it down, because just like you said, it's like you can almost tell the flash in her eyes when it's back to camera public Ty.
Yes.
And then Ty with her wife and her family. It's just brilliant acting. And I can't say it enough. The acting in this series is above and beyond.
How is Melanie Linsky not in all of the things?
Well, in my opinion, she is. We just don't see her. But no, I love her. I loved her from Castle Rock, and then obviously my love started growing for her in other things that I started noticing that she was in, and she does a great job. I mean, like the acting is just so. The cast is amazing, but specifically with adult Ty. The flash in the eyes, I don't know how this actress does it. I don't know how, but it's amazing, because she goes from, I don't want to say stone.
It's like that thing when people are like, much better than that, but like,
it's great. It's great. So
yeah, she's awesome. I like in general, that's actually going to be one of my top things, is the casting just in general. So I won't go too much into that right now. Why is Shauna jerking it to her kid's boyfriend?
I mean, he's hot. I will give her that. I have to say, I just don't understand where that would ever be a situation that would. Maybe I'm just speaking personally, but there's no way I just don't think I could lay on my child's bed.
No, that's another thing too. Yeah, you're in your kid's bed.
To a shirtless photo of my child's partner. and then go about my business. Listen,
Like it was nothing.
and that's why I don't know. I had got this weird read from Shauna from jump with that. I was like, what is this? Like, I could sit here and say this tragedy happened to them when they were about, I guess, her daughter's age at this point. So I don't know if it's a trauma-based type thing. And that's going to be a question throughout the whole series, or at least this season, I should say, for me, on some actions that the adult characters do. Did she never grow up? Did she never like grow out of being like Callie's age? I don't know, because there's a little bit of a childish quality.
Yeah.
Especially when you see her in the scene with Callie and she's like, I thought we could maybe watch a movie or do something together. It didn't feel like so much a parent being like, I want to spend time with my child, versus like, oh my gosh, let's hang out and be girlfriends type and watch a movie together. Does that make sense? What I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So it's like, did she, I don't want to say like, did it stunt her emotional growth in some way? Because we don't know at this point everything, but
no. But I like that though. And I think that it's quite possible that this event did stunt certain growth, but accelerated other things that might not normally be even a thing for people.
Yeah.
Right? Which that was such a weird way of saying that, but I'm trying to remain, spoiler free. So yeah.
I will say this though. After you put the pieces together and we find out that Shauna married Jeff, I kind of
very young, I guess, because it's like the younger actors in that wedding photo. Yeah.
I started thinking to myself, listen, I was in high school once, believe it or not. Listen, finger banging and thinking things like that were going on. Okay.
That was going on. Okay.
Not
it was very popular.
Sure. And we didn't know what we were doing always at certain ages because we were learning. I'm going to say right now, I was not impressed with young Jeff's fingering skills. I said it. I was not impressed with it.
No.
I don't think
it was scary.
It was very harsh.
Yeah. Way harsh tie.
Way harsh. Way harsh. Bless his dumb little heart, because he really was thinking that he got her off in a major way. Ooh. Okay, now I say all that to say this. Perhaps Shauna married that, and I don't know if it just comes down to I need to masturbate because I married someone that does not know how to finger bang.
Has no fucking idea what he's doing.
Woo wee. Now the sex scene between Shauna and Jeff was pretty hot.
That's true. They definitely have more chemistry than Jeff and Jackie.
I agree with that. I don't know if that's because it's a friends with benefits situation, because I'm here to tell you, listen, I'm going to be this is me, controversial yet brave. I'm here to tell everybody.
Okay.
I married my friends with benefits. Okay, everybody.
I don't think I knew that.
Now, Scott and I were only friends for so long, but we were fooling around, and it was great because I was like, I don't have to hang out with you if I don't want to, but if we need something from each other, we get it done, and that was great.
Yeah.
But I sometimes felt like there was a lot more passion and things in a friends with benefits situation than. This is just me personally. So I think about, because it was in that moment with Shauna where she was like, just tell me you love me. I know you don't, and I don't care, but these are the things I need to get off. You probably don't need much more, poor thing. But
also I loved that from her too, because it was just like to be, I mean, actually I was going to be like, it was a weird thing to ask, but whatever, no shade to whatever anybody needs for that. But the fact that she was so in control of that and not afraid to ask for it, I was like, yeah, okay.
Well, I'm here to tell you, it's funny because in that relationship, Shauna's the dominant one. Jeff pull over, and then she kisses him, and then she's like, I'm getting your dick out. This is
Mm-hmm.
happening. You just sit there. I know you want it. It was very
Mm-hmm.
consensual, but she was very much in control. I mean,
Oh,
I'm talking
big time.
about, she was telling him, you come in me, basically I'll kill you.
Mm-hmm.
You tell me
Me
the
and my
things
baby will kill you.
Yes, you tell me the things I want to hear, so I get mine.
Mhm.
It was just
Yep.
great.
Yep.
But I
A
guess
total inversion of the scene with him and Jackie.
exactly. So I guess I say all that to say this. I've been in like a relationship, like my high school boyfriend, for example. So I'm like thinking of Jackie and Jeff, right?
Mhm.
And but then you have like, so I felt like it's just a different dynamic, but there's not pressure there. So perhaps that's why their love scene when they were younger was so hot and heavy.
Right.
But I say all that to say this. I don't know why when you're of a certain age you would masturbate to a high school child shirtless, but it's going to be a no from me, dog. Okay.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, 100%. Capital N, capital O.
woo, I mean,
No, thank you. No, it's
do
weird.
it-
I mean,
listen,
to me,
do what
it's
the
like,
rest of us do. Go to your room, get your sex toy, put on some porn, have fun.
sure. Yeah.
And so that's why
Put
but
on the
knowing-
beginning of International Assassin and just watch Kevin slide out of the tub. I
That's
mean,
what I'm saying.
sometimes that's
Hey,
all you need.
porn, whatever porn is to you. Like, it doesn't have to be like hardcore. It could be whatever you want it
Correct.
to be.
Yeah.
But it's also, maybe I'm just reaching here, but the relationship that I'm seeing between Shauna and her daughter versus Shauna and Jackie, it's almost sort of a little parallel in a weird way. Like,
Mm-hmm.
because here's the thing, she's with Jeff Young against or behind Jackie's back. Here she is as a parent, but masturbating like to somebody else's partner. Do you see where I'm drawing like a parallel here? So it's like,
and if anybody's in the dominant position in Callie and Shauna's relationship, it's Callie at this moment in time in this pilot. Yeah.
100%. So there's a lot to play off of there, because it's like, here's Shauna again with a relationship. It's not the best friend relationship, but it's her, I think, wanting like something more from her daughter.
Yeah.
Like, she probably wants something more from Jackie, but she's not the dominant one in that situation. So
yeah, weird parallels.
Yeah,
but super interesting to think about for sure. While we're on Callie, I do have a note that she has to retake a trig test. So I don't know, like, does being bad at math, is it in your DNA? Because like, my dad's really good at math, but I don't think my mom's very good at math. So did I just get like, did I get that handed down from my mom's side? Is that how it works?
I'm here to tell you, I'm going with that, because it's very funny you say that. Y'all, when we talk about we don't math here, that's not a joke. Like, math,
it's really not
the hardest thing for me. I had a lot of shame around it, like, especially in high school, because I failed math classes and had to retake them.
Yep.
And I felt stupid. I'm just going to be another controversial yet brave. I felt very stupid because I thought, how does everybody else get this but me? My brain is not wired to understand math. And that's just, listen, this is the reality of my life and I'm fine with it. But when I look at my parents, I think my mother's the same way, but my dad is a fucking math whiz.
It is so aggravating.
It's
that's the truth. Like,
and let me
so
tell
annoying.
you what he did to me that scarred me as a child. I will never do this to my child, but you just have to understand the way that my dad is. He's a woodsman. I'm just here to tell you. This is just how he is.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like second grade. I was elementary school age, and we had the little math workbooks. Okay. I was never good, especially at multiplication. Okay. So I brought it home, and he's the math person. So he would help me with the math homework. Okay. Anyway, and he would always help me. But if I did stuff that he like, I see myself doing this with Scott. It's like I'm always like I'm gonna get you doing something. But anyway, I wanted to use a pen to do my math workbook. Don't ask me why.
Okay, all right.
But my
You're
dad was
wild.
like, well, I was wild. Yeah. My dad was like, you need to use a pencil. What if you need to erase? And I was like, I don't need to erase. And he was like, okay. So here I am, and we go through like 5 problems, and he's like, work it out in your head, da 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 da. And I'm like, he's like, that's right. So I get to this one, I don't remember the equation, but he was like, work it out in your head. And I was like, oh, okay, it's this. And he was like, that's right. I wrote it in there, and then he said, it's wrong. And I was so betrayed. And I was like, why would you let me write it? And he was like, well, if you were using a pencil, you could erase it.
Odette Mells' dad.
It traumatized me.
That is a mean prank. It
taught me a lesson though, because do you think I fucking pull
Well-
a pen out in math class
well-
ever again? No.
Yeah, but joke's on you guys, because like what, 3 years later, pens got erasers. So
Well, it's true. But so I say all that to say this, like I've never been good at math, and then my dad did that to me, and then I never had confidence in math ever again. So yeah, like I feel for Callie, because I'm like, girl, good luck on your
I feel for Callie too. I was in academic level of like every class in high school. I took math the first year. I think you had to take it to grade 11, and then you didn't have to do it in grade 12, something like that. But anyway, my last year of math, I was still in the academic track, failed, had to do the applied track, failed, took personal finance. And the teacher was like, here's your 50%. Please stop coming back to math.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you know what? This is not an exaggeration. When it comes to like literature, I mean, actually pretty much anything except math. I was in like AP classes. Like I was in honors, whatever that you want to call them. Like I was in the advanced. But when I was a senior in high school, I was in a math class with freshmen. And
that's what my personal finance class was like.
It was algebra. And when I tell you,
that's not in real life.
But I just was like, why? Literally, why? Why am I saying y plus x? Why are we putting the alphabet in numbers?
Too much fuckery. Way too much fuckery. Leave my alphabet alone. I like the alphabet. I do not like numbers.
So now y'all know, obviously, also, this will come out whenever, but I mentioned in an episode that we recorded for Twin Peaks that I was really on my calculator writing notes to classmates instead of actually, because I couldn't do it. And I accepted it. I was like, I can read very well, and I'm okay with it.
Yeah. Let me prove how good I am at typing, reading, sentence structure. You know, I've got it all, but
please don't. Anyway, so, you know, and I have to proud parent moment. James is really good at math. And so I'm hoping that means he won't have to ever ask me, because I am doomed if he does. He'll have to go to the come on.
Come on, kids. I don't know. Maybe you also pronounce it Kumon. We don't know.
I don't know.
Come on or Kumon. We don't know. All right. What else about the 2021 plot? One thing I did make note of this time was that when Ty and Shauna, almost said Nat, but when Ty and Shauna meet later at the diner, and she's asking about Nat, I think Ty says that she's in rehab or whatever, and then she says, still no sign of the others? No, not for months.
For months. I was going to bring that up.
For months. Not years.
I was going to bring that up more in like connection theories. I had wrote some things.
Sure.
But immediately my spidey senses went off.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's
okay. So we'll talk about that. Yeah. We'll talk about that more in the connection section then. Yeah. I guess we're good on the 2021 then. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've hit it all. The only thing we haven't really talked about is that Misty is now like at an old folks home. And she is not one to play.
Don't fuck with her. That was a great character introduction.
Gladys.
For like 2021.
Yeah. And I was like, Gladys? the last thing you want to do is fuck around with your pain pills. Okay, sweetie, stop
Quit
pissing
messing
the
around.
bed and eat a couple of bits of beans, and you will get your pain meds.
I mean, the audacity of hitting that
terrible.
plate, though, I was just like,
But you know what I love about it? I love how we get that moment when 1996 Misty or whenever past Misty pulls that thing off and puts her glasses, like pulls the hood off and puts her glasses on. But it's that expression less, I guess, really, or another great facial acting with no words spoken was the look on young Misty when she revealed herself and then put her glasses on and walked off.
Yeah.
I love that setup to Missy being the caretaker of people. And what does that mean?
Yes.
You know, in that whole thing, because it's like Missy is not literally, she tells you don't fuck with me. So
yeah, she's hardcore.
Wait.
Well, that kind of plays into, so our next section here is just, this is our series called We're Obsessed. So we're going to talk about just maybe a couple of moments that like immediately got us obsessed from this pilot episode. I think these might be a little bit more spoilery. So at this point, if you haven't seen episode 1, tune out, go watch it, come back. Yeah. So we'll give you another second to go away. Thank you so much for listening. We are heading into spoiler territory. Please come back. Okay. So we have kind of touched on this a little bit, but one of the things that really got me in right from the get-go is the casting, the character development, and the chemistry between everybody. What I thought you were about to say about that shot of Misty is just the simple fact of how she pushes her glasses back when they're sliding down a little bit. And I mean, it's a basic thing, but both actresses are doing it. And I love to see little details like that. Again, it's really simple, but it just helps connect everything and make it feel really consistent. But all of them are doing that. Like, even if it's just within the casting of choosing people that look a lot like one another, like Shauna has this total deer in the headlights look to her that is consistent between young Shauna and older Shauna. But even the way that they both move their mouth to say certain words, like the side of her face will move a little bit. It's incredible. And the same goes for younger Nat and older Nat. The smile, the way that she walks, like it's that like sly smile that both Nats have. And I mean, yeah, it's really, I think it can be really difficult to cast younger and older versions of people, and we have to sometimes like suspend disbelief a little bit, because you can't get a family full of actors and just like cast them in all the different roles, right? But if you've seen a show like Dark on Netflix, and you see the ability to cast so incredibly well, I think that sticks with you. And then you kind of start to notice it in other shows that you're watching. But I think they did a really, really great job here with the younger versions and the older versions. But beyond that, in terms of casting, particularly when it comes to the 1996 cast, these teenagers feel like teenagers to me. They don't feel like, and I want to ask you this because I've been noticing this recently, rewatching Scream and then seeing the new Scream, watching something like Buffy, but watching it through my mid-30s lens instead of, my late teens or whatever. Because to me, like these kids, not kids, but like these teens on Yellowjackets actually feel like real teenagers, and they don't feel like it felt when I was watching 90210 when I was a kid, and they felt like so fucking old.
Yeah.
Like they felt like they were in their mid-20s. But even like a more modern show, like let's say Riverdale, they never felt like teens to me. They always felt like they were in their early 20s. So I don't know, I guess like, yeah, watching the old Scream the other day, I was like, they have always seemed so old to me. And yet in the new Scream, I'm like, yeah, those are teens. So is it my age or like, I don't know.
No, I really truly think it comes down to direction, but also the way that the characters are written. I mean, when we talk about a movie like Scream, it's very feels like adult material because they're killing people. So I think that's why those those instances of survival, and it feels very not teeny, because that's not an experience any of us, well, we didn't go through our boyfriends killing our friends. Thank goodness.
Knock on wood, doesn't happen.
Well, true. Never say never. No. So I think, and that's, I'm glad you said this, because that's actually like one of the things for me is the way that the storyline, the characters, and I think ultimately the casting as well, all flows so nicely, is what they do such a good job of tapping into the nostalgia of this period with very relatable content. I mean, I was not in a plane crash on my way to a soccer championship, but before we get to that moment, everything feels so authentic that I'm not ever sitting here going, that character doesn't look like they belong in high school. I'm so in the moment of girls' locker room, shenanigans, soccer or like a sport practice, a high school party with just in the
getting
dialogue.
ready to go to the party, trying to decide what to wear. Their concerns felt very teenager.
Exactly. And
I'm not putting that down in any way, but it felt very age appropriate, the things that they were talking about and the things that they were exploring. I mean, even Ty's whole thing of wanting to ice out Allie, that felt very teenager to me. That felt like very high school sport kind of thing. And then the whole argument at the party, that felt really on point for that age group. Like, I just really appreciate the way that they're writing these characters to actually feel like teenagers, and not like you would get in something like Riverdale, where like one of the characters is constantly in a battle against her father to own property and run businesses. And it's like, when the fuck do you go to class? Like, what are you even going on about? Like, it's obviously not trying to be authentic in that way. It's a whole different ball game, but still, it's just so much more relatable, authentic, enjoyable. Yeah.
Yes. And that's why I say I think it really has a lot to do with storyline, because when you look at a show like Riverdale, I understand what they're doing, with a murder mystery detective gang type,
whatever,
that's fine.
They think they're being Twin Peaksy, but
they think. I have news for them. But it's funny because you can't relate to it because it's not relatable content. But literally the minute you're having a soccer practice, like I said, or even the way they're singing the songs in the locker room, and they're just and just the dialogue in itself when they're talking to each other, like all of it, it's like, it's just so authentically written. And I think that's why it works for us to be very believable that these are teenage to high school the cast, because obviously they're older in real life, but
for sure. But
so I think that has a lot to do with it. It comes down to subject matter. And I like how you said with Scream, because it's very true, like especially in the original Scream. When we get to some of the other ones that the 4 particularly, some of those characters did feel very high schoolish, but I think it's the storyline that the material, and at that point with Scream 4, what we've already seen with the franchise. So very original first Scream, because of the subject matter, is why it felt a lot older than high school.
Like, I have never thought of Sidney Prescott as a teenager. Not once.
Same. Billy. Billy never felt like a senior in high school.
He was a grown-ass man.
Grown-ass man. Very good looking grown-ass man. And what I love about that is, or what I think is, because in horror in general, when you have teenage, it's also got to do with setting, like with like Friday the 13th, they're always at a summer camp. So yes, the actors are older, but that's a scenario type situation, if I'm making sense with what I'm saying here. So I think it all comes down to the way they're written, and then what the circumstances are of what they're being, the the role that they're playing and
Sure.
how relatable
And
it comes off.
I mean, I think it's more, I think what Yellowjackets is doing is rare. For the most part, when we're watching teenagers, I think collectively we've all agreed, like, we know they're not teenagers, and we know that mid-20s actors are playing teenagers, and that's kind of just the way that it goes. And we all have sort of accepted it, I guess, in a way, which it really doesn't bother me. But then when a show like this rolls around and you actually feel like they could be 16, 17, it just adds a layer to it that, like I said, is rare, and you're not going to see it everywhere else. So it makes it more unique. And yeah.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah. So that was one of the things that got me obsessed so immediately. What's one of yours?
So what I tried to do this time, because I actually struggle, to be honest, especially with shows like this, because I'm hooked from the beginning. So I get obsessed very early on, and it stays that way throughout the whole episode.
Yeah.
But I really tried to hone in on like the moment that the switch flipped for me. And it literally happened in the beginning when the Yellowjackets title card came on, and it just came into Smashing Pumpkins Today. And it's a montage of these little short clips of a small town, I would imagine, like New Jersey. It immediately, for me, like right at that moment, taps into that time period. The music, the way that they played the music and the scenes that they played it in this pilot was fucking phenomenal. Like, whoever is the music creativity on this needs a fucking award, because I'm like, it doesn't hurt that I love that song, but it's like they chose the perfect song for that moment for you to get an introduction into this town in New Jersey. You know what I mean? And like,
yes. I actually want to look up who the music supervisor is, because
I mean, they are phenomenal. But that was the moment that I literally, that's when the switch was flipped for me, and I was like, I'm gonna love this. I mean, like, yes, I loved the opening with the chase, and then you see somebody fall into a trap. Like, I was already really into that. Just seeing the Yellowjackets and then flipping into that opening song with that montage. Oh, like, I have almost like chills now just thinking about it, because it's almost like I see myself at that time. Like, I can see my home, like flashes of my hometown and like high school, and you know what I mean? Like,
yes,
that was just the first moment for me. And then throughout the whole thing, we've talked about this probably ad nauseum now, but the music and the way they tap into the nostalgia was just done chef's kiss perfection for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I mean, I could be wrong. I could be looking in the wrong section for this music supervisor. Okay, music supervisor, Jen Malone.
Oh,
I want to see what else she's done. Oh, so she's worked on Atlanta. Sorry, I clicked on, okay, Atlanta, Euphoria, The Umbrella Academy, Dispatches from Elsewhere, which also the showrunners worked on, Baskets.
Oh.
This is what I'm recognizing. So that's just why I'm saying those things. But yeah, really, really excellent work. The Leftovers is the show that really got me into looking at who the music supervisor was, because I believe it's Liza Richardson that did it for The Leftovers. And she just had I read such a fascinating interview with her about how she just has, like, basically how we would have those CD books way back in the day, but that's like her brain is just like catalog songs and just like knows when to, like, it's fascinating. Yeah.
I love it because, okay, and we've talked about this, especially, well, really only in The Return, because we didn't have a lot of music like in season 1 and 2 of Twin Peaks. But the way that music is chosen and the way it plays into scenes and overall thoughts, like to me, that can really make or break something on
Absolutely.
how I want to watch it. If they're going that direction, like if it's a series or whatever that's meant to have like music attached to it, if it feels off, I'm not going to like it because it doesn't tap into that emotional part of me. But
For sure.
Leftovers is a great example of it. Castle Rock first season did a fantastic job of it as well. Yellowjackets has done it. The Return did it, and those are like that is how. Oh God, like yeah, I love music, and so when it music is what makes me tap into. I can hear something and I can be very nostalgic in my own mind, but if I'm watching something and it takes me in that exact moment, that is when I'm like hook, line, and sinker. Sign me up. I'm done. You know what I mean?
It's so fascinating how that works too, because a song that you really loved in your teen years or whatever could be a song that like I have a memory of that's really heartbreaking or something. So when we watch the same scene, it can hit us in a completely different way because of those different experiences with the song. But a good music supervisor, I feel like, can tap into like a collective feeling that song gave people. And then, hopefully that's what comes across to the majority of the audience. But it is really fascinating to think that it can hit us so differently, just based on our taste in music and based on what gets us going in terms of music. Like that's a whole other conversation for sure.
It really is. But and I love too though, because just like what you just said, like you're right, that is the telltale sign of a very good music supervisor, is that they can pinpoint the songs that were popular, but also have a general consensus of how it makes people feel overall. So just that opening lick of Today, I think because it is so that period, and it makes everybody, the collective consensus is that it makes everybody feel a certain way, is why I think it can pull you in so easily, so
100%. Yeah. Like I was never a huge Smashing Pumpkins fan, but I mean, that song is recognizable to me big time. And it immediately takes me to a place too. So
yeah, for sure.
Well, the other thing for me is just the opening sequence, the first shot, the girl running, the cold open, essentially. I mean, that for me, it's dark, it's ominous, it's mysterious. Who is the girl? Why is she running? Where's the blood coming from? Who is calling out and cawing like out to her? Who's chasing her? What are all these talismans hanging around on the trees? Holy fuck, she just fell into a pit and is impaled in like every part of her body. I know I'm sick and twisted, but that is what does it for me. I love horror. I love slasher. So like an immediate death sequence. Okay, great. I'm 100% in. Like that little sequence was enough for me to be like, I cannot wait for this show. I am so on board. And then even, I mean, beyond that, when they cut to the interviews, because I'm like, wait, who's the person interviewing? Why are they interviewing these people? Why now? What is this saying about like where we're stepping into the show? And then even before the Yellowjackets thing, like the logo comes up, we do get that clip or that scene of them winning, right? The winning goal and whatever. I couldn't give a good goddamn about trigonometry or soccer, but I am 100% in for these girls and cheering for them immediately. Like it just does so much in that opening sequence to grab me and be like, I care about soccer all of a sudden. I want to know who Pit Girl is. I need to like live in these girls' lives for 10 more episodes or whatever. But it just, and all the mystery and how dark it is, it just hit all the right. It spike pitted me in all the right ways.
There you go. All right. Well, I don't think this isn't gonna be a surprise, but that's mine also. Is the darkness of it. Obviously, again, the opening scene, just like you, I'm very much into gore. I'm very much into blood, horror, mystery. What are we being fed here? So that opening, and then all the way through the last, thing that you see, they did such a good job of building up the mystery, because it's not as simple as we had an accident and we had to survive. But it's not done in overkill. It's peppered in so nicely with just little quips and things here and there. But yeah, just the way that they started and built the mystery, and then also
A++.
the brutality of it. Yeah, like here,
well, here. And I also think it's really important for a pilot episode to teach you what the show is going to be about. So tell you what you're going to be coming back for if you decide to come back, but also hook you with a reason for you to be coming back. So like, explain what kind of show it is. Tell me why I want to keep coming back.
Yeah.
And it did it so quickly where I was like, okay, it's dark, it's mysterious, and I like those two things. So give me more, give me all of it. Give it to me now. Where's season 2?
Also, those winter scenes, even though they're disturbing, to me they're aesthetically beautiful.
Oh yes.
The way, and we talked about this in Westworld, I know for sure, but the way that the blood red looks against the white, I love that visual. Then also the costuming of what everyone looks like around that fire. I'm just like, I do have chills right now, because immediately I was like, this is going to be good. This is not just, oops, we're trying to keep warm. This is obviously something sinister and dark.
Well, yeah. Like why? I mean, it's not just wearing a fur coat. Like,
exactly.
It's way more than that. Yeah.
Yeah. Like they have made actual clothing for specific things, it feels like. And also felt very, being hunted with the girl running, and obviously someone coming right up behind when they fall in the pit. Like that was a game or something being played. So good. Like,
yes.
Lord have
mercy. Ooh, I like that you called it a game. That's so sinister.
Well, and that's what it feels like. It
really I like
feels
that
way. Yeah. Oh,
I like that.
So good.
Well, I'm ready to head into the connection/theories section. I feel like that ended up being relatively spoiler free, but
I think so. Yeah.
But for real now, there are going to be spoilers. Yeah. So if you're still here for some reason,
skedaddle.
Yeah. So why don't we start with Pit Girl then? Because I do have some questions here. I mean, is that Van or is that Ty in the co-ed soccer shirt? Because at first it did look like there was dark spiky-ish hair, but it could just be some sort of headdress thing that this person is wearing. I don't know. But if anybody else was going to wear Van's shirt, Ty makes sense. Is it Mary that falls into the pit? Who else has dark hair?
This is so stupid. I know. Forgive me. But I just am still like, there's something about Callie being Pit Girl. And I tried to not do this, but it was very hard for me not to, because I kept thinking to myself, when it comes to the sweatshirt, okay, I don't know if that would still fit so many years later, but shoes, yes, I still wear shoes from high school. It was just I really tried to look at Callie's facial features and then what we got of Pit Girl.
Yeah.
But also I can see Mari. I want to in some way cling on to it being of them playing very loose, like fast and loose, or whatever, with chopping up a bunch of different like when it's revealed who Pit Girl is, are we going to see flashes of like the first time they did this, which is where we see pink Converse and whatever, and then flash into what we're actually seeing with that the Pit Girl that's running, because it just looks so much like Callie. I don't know why. I can't connect why it would be in present day with Callie. I don't even want to try to do it because it makes my head hurt.
I mean, we do know that there is some sort of group, cult, if you want to call it that. There's something still kicking around that is connected to, I mean, we assume, right? Like there are still so many questions around this because even now, for whatever reason, like on this watch of the pilot, I am wondering if Pit Girl is somehow Lottie. And just because that girl in the end asks Nat, who the fuck is Lottie Matthews? I mean, what if these girls put Lottie on this pedestal of being their leader, their end all be all, but then she died, but then they keep using her as like this figurehead or something. I mean, that does feel a little wild and out there, but we don't know so many details. So I feel like Callie could be Pit Girl, Lottie could be Pit Girl. I mean, like Shauna could somehow be Pit Girl. I don't know. Like
I was trying to put Lottie in Pit Girl. I couldn't get the hair to match up. And that seems so silly because, but I mean, we're talking about, I think at this point, because they're back at the plane crash and they're not at the cabin, that we're deep into like their stay in the woods.
Agreed.
And I would have just think that Lottie's hair would be so much because it was already pretty long.
Well, that's a good point. Yep.
And so that's why it's very hard for me because that again, and that's why I don't want to wreck because I have wrecked my brain when it comes to Pit Girl. But yeah, so I did try to, everybody dark haired like that. I was like, it definitely can't be Shauna because we see her in present day.
I know, yeah.
But Lottie, we have not seen in present day. Could it be Lottie? But things don't add up for it to be Lottie for me, which would be the hair. The only other person for me would be Mari. I mean, but
you can cut your hair though, as Ty showed us.
True.
Like you could still get a shitty haircut out in the woods.
But I don't know what we see of Lottie towards the end. I just don't know. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean,
I know. And there's so many details that we don't know about how they're going from, the last thing maybe that we see in the finale to whatever is happening in these winter sequences. Like there's a lot of steps in between that we're not aware of yet. So there's a lot of possibilities out there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What's the deal with the trigonometry stuff?
I still.
Like, why? Like, we know that they didn't give a good goddamn about it. Callie's got to retake a quiz or a test or whatever, but
I just don't know if they're trying to play off of those symbols looking like things from trigonometry, but yeah, are they red herrings just for us to like go down these routes, or will it actually come? I don't know, but I just don't feel like the trigonometry, the repetitiveness of it is throwaway. I don't feel like the show would do something like that. So that's why towards the end, I kept thinking that symbol was somehow meant, if somebody knew angles and I don't know, like it's a map or something.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
In real life, there is no trigonometry, in my opinion. So
true.
Well, what have you got for connection section? I have a bunch more points, but
the biggest thing for me obviously was catching what Sean and Ty were saying in the diner, which is that they hadn't heard from, or Ty actually specifically, not Shauna, but Ty hadn't heard from them in months. So I'm just even more, I'm just still in the camp of Ty is part of whatever this is, and she might not have heard from them in months, but she is getting a public seat for a reason, because Shauna seems very taken aback, obviously, when she sees the commercial.
Right. And because they're supposed to stay out of the public eye.
Right. And what we learned throughout the rest of the season regarding Ty, meaning she sent that reporter out to see if any of the girls or people will talk about, what happened during that time. And then also what we see that the altar and everything she kind of does to get elected. It drives home for me that Ty is still close to and directly involved. I don't think Shauna necessarily, but I definitely get it from Ty. I think Shauna knows that Ty's in touch, but I don't know if Shauna knows obviously all of it, because it is Shauna that asks Ty if there's been any word from the others, and she says not for months. It's not like it didn't feel like both of them would be in.
Like, why would she have to ask if there's been any word if she's in? But I will knows. Yes. I've been not resistant, but just not willing to like come down either way of whether or not Ty, first of all, whether or not Ty was responsible for that altar, or whether or not she was still linked to whatever's going on with Lottie. But in rewatching the pilot and seeing how, like I said, determined and driven she was to win, and the lengths that she was willing to go to, that has made me rethink and be like, I think she's at least responsible for the altar. And how involved she is with the cult or whatever, I'm not sure, because of the comment, it's been a few months or it's been months, whatever. But I am on board now that she's for sure done this altar. Like, she just has that attitude about her. Like, she's very driven in that way. So yeah. Speaking of Jessica, why is she interviewing people that weren't involved? Is this to make it seem more legit to the survivors? So like, if Shauna was to ask around or something like, hey, did this girl contact you about what happened? Then somebody like Randy could be like, yeah, I spoke with her a couple days ago. Because otherwise, why? Like, that's not what Ty's asking you to do.
I think it's part of the cover for
whatever.
Okay. Yeah, I really do. And that just still makes me feel I'm just not a Ty fan. I know. But I think it's part of because I kept thinking about her interviewing these people, that being part of it, but then also what we get to know about Jessica, especially when she tells Missy, I mean, you don't know the things that I've done. So it's kind of like, like she's a right hand, like, for Ty, but in a very sinister way. So that's why I think, but by her doing the due diligence of interviewing people from the school and things like that, it would really make her seem more journal focused or journalist focused than
journalistic.
Yeah, than trying to break the survivors or whatever.
Yes, right. Did you see all of Shauna's ceramic bunnies hanging out in the kitchen? Are those all from Jackie's parents?
I'm fairly certain they are.
Why does she keep? Why are they all around? Why doesn't she just keep them in a box?
But see, that's where I say there's a complexity to Shauna. She's obviously feels very guilty about what happened to Jackie, and that's why I see so many weird parallels when it comes to Callie. And so I think she keeps him around because deep down she loved Jackie, in the best friend way. And like they were kids. She got pregnant by Jeff. I mean, that, that shit's as kid. I shouldn't say it, kid. It's kid shit. But I mean, that's stuff that happens, and whatever. We don't make the best choices in high school. But I think that Shauna harbors a lot of guilt, probably where it comes to Jackie.
Well, especially since we know how Jackie dies. I mean, if those girls don't feel responsible, I just couldn't understand if they separate themselves and don't feel responsible for that. And in fact, like, part of me is wondering, like, how crazy things got while they were out there, because we've talked about this before, like, them needing to eat somebody to stay alive is not crazy. Like, considering they were stranded for so long. And I'm wondering if the first person that they eat isn't Jackie. I mean, I don't know if maybe she hasn't been, well, no, she's in cold storage right now, essentially, right? So they might be able to like harvest her meat. I don't know. That's so weird to say. But because they keep saying things like, if somebody starts talking, we're going to be fucked. Or like if somebody starts digging, we're going to be so fucked. Nat mentions in group like what I saw, what I did. But honestly, that could be Laura Lee's plane crash. That could be the fact that Nat had to hunt her own food. Like maybe that sat with her in a way that she didn't think that it would. It could be the fact that her and Travis obviously fucking walked past Jackie's body on the night when she died and didn't do fuck all to bring her inside and then saw this girl die. I mean, those are all things that could fit into that, you know, after this is what I saw out there and this is what I did. And those are the things that are living in me now as trauma or whatever. Like it doesn't have to be all that much crazier. I don't know. Is that making sense? Like,
yeah, and
I think we've seen things that have happened that could explain enough. I mean, I'm not saying that there's not more. I think there probably is, but still.
But think about all the things that they did see. I mean, they were in a plane crash. I mean, they saw like
first of all, yes,
dead like dead people and
Coach falling from the tree.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I mean, we could start there with like things that they
yes.
saw. I think it's even maybe not quite fair, and I don't think fair is the right word, but even by saying ritualistic type things, I think it's probably even darker than that. And because I mean that's the thing, is that obviously it escalated into some type of game. I do feel that way, and it's sort of we got to sacrifice somebody and we got to play this game to see who gets sacrificed, or you know, you're either in it or you're out of it. Like it has to go. There has to be something though, because they probably don't want everybody to know that they played games and it was a ritual thing, but I mean,
sure,
spiritual, like demons, things like that. I mean, I don't know, because to me it would feel like you could use the explanation of so much trauma-based things that happened in that 19 months that maybe you did go a little crazy and you did start seeing things. And
that's the other side of it too, is that like you see your friend blow up in a plane crash, you see another friend die from being left out in the cold. So that could be what's crazy enough to make them feel worried that people would find out, but that also could have just been the catalyst or one of many catalysts to make them go even darker. But yeah, I was just thinking ahead to when Shauna finds out that Jeff has read her journals. And this time around, I was just like, I wonder if finding out how Jackie died, like, I wonder if he knew that outside of the journal or if he found that out through the journal. And I mean, that's a fucked up enough thing to happen where like, you don't need to add anything else onto that, you know?
Yeah. Well, also and this is what gets me interested in what happens after they're rescued, because
yeah,
I think the "we're fucked" statement can't just be isolated to what they did while they were out there.
I agree.
And I think that's why we have to really look at who's doing what in present day or over the past 25 years that no one knows about. Were people left out there to be their own like community that, and they can, that's what I mean. Like when we say we're fucked, it feels like it's not just the things that happen.
It's not contained to that.
Right. It's way outside of, and especially knowing that these others, I'm pretty sure these others are the ones that take Nat at the end of the finale, and what these others have been up to since being rescued until present day, and the involvement of everyone.
Right.
So
well, and it's like, it's going to be so interesting too to see how that all evolves, because there's dudes involved and there was like only Ben, Javi, and Travis. So like, who are these people?
Misty eats Ben. I don't know. I
love it.
I just don't know if Coach Ben made it out, to be honest with you.
But no, I don't know that he does either, honestly. But I just meant more like where did these dudes come from? Like,
well, yeah,
although I will say, like, during the winter sequences, I was trying to count
out.
how many people were there. I think there's 8 of them is what I got. Okay.
I was counting too, and yeah. I will say this, but that's why it feels like it's got to be cultish, because these people that come in to take Natalie, I don't believe that it's the core group. That's why I believe it's
No.
grown into a following of whatever they created out there.
Well, they've got a uniform. I mean, like,
right. And they've got the Etsy necklaces. And I'm like, this is definitely something, but it's something that no one knows about yet. And that's why I keep saying that's why I keep linking back to Ty. Only if it's only been a few months since she's heard from the others, her all of a sudden wanting the Senate seat. That's why it feels
what's
very
driving
suspicious.
that?
Yeah. So, and her possibly knowing that she was going to win it the whole time, because she knew that she could summon an altar and do it. I don't know.
That actress, that little smile. I mean, it's just so good when she learns that she's won. I mean, it is just sinister enough. Like, it just walks that line where you're like, is she just happy, or did she know this? Or like, I just love that it's ambiguous in that way.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I think you and I lean to one side of that, but yeah. Something I noticed during the party when Jackie has taken the Yellowjackets aside to like say nice things about each other, Laura Lee, when she goes to say "you are beautiful in the eyes of God" to Lottie, and she is like, oh my gosh, she's so not here for it. And yet in a number of episodes, we're going to see that like Lottie is so drawn to Laura Lee. I just thought that was interesting.
Well, yeah. And again, like, when we get to that point, that's Lottie coming off of like those psycho
Yep.
I don't want to say psycho, but like
psycho, well, whatever
meds,
she's taking,
and not psycho. I mean, like the psychiatrist. I don't know what I'm trying to say. They're called a certain type of drugs, or like schizophrenia or things like that. So yeah, like I was looking at Lottie a lot. I mean, there's no way to not, I know, there's no way to not look at her differently once by the time you get to the end of the season, but
for sure,
there was so much empathy in Lottie. I had towards Lottie, especially when she's getting ready to leave for the championship, and her parents were not even there. And she's just taking her pill. And then the remark about, that's how my dad parents with the chartered plane.
That's how he shows love. Yeah.
It feels not crazy to me that Lottie develops a cult following in some way for her to get that needed acceptance or love.
Sure. Yeah, for sure.
So
something you just said triggered another thought, and now it's lost, of course. Oh, the Never Tear Us Apart montage, like that sequence, was also a really good example of, like, I just thought they used that, so they took advantage of that very short amount of time to show us so many little things about their home lives. Just another great moment of character development, basically. Yeah.
So yeah. Well, it
set to a great song.
Oh, absolutely. And it has me really thinking about like Van's home life too, like just all of it, like
yes.
It's so good. I mean, obviously thinking about the fact that in present day, I mean, Shauna still has Jackie's necklace because Callie has it on at the Halloween party. So, and it's little things like that make me wonder about what timeline are we in when we're looking at certain aspects of Yeah. So
of the winter thing. Well, and it is interesting because we do get timestamps for 96 and for 2021, but we do not get a timestamp for the winter stuff. And I understand that that's to keep it mysterious and all that kind of stuff, but it also doesn't root it in anything. So yeah. I thought it was funny when Shauna was like, well, so long as nobody does anything crazy, we have nothing to worry about. And I was like, yeah, like kill someone, Shauna, or
right.
you know, like sacrifice a dog, or
well, and there was just so much peppered into this. Just into this, and I was just like,
it laid such a great foundation.
Oh man.
Do you have more for connection?
No,
I have one last connection. So Jackie's journals. I don't know if we talked about this already, maybe in our Instagram live, or I don't know. I'm having a memory, but also like something triggered for me when we were recording for, I think, part 5 of The Return, when we were talking about actually passing notes on calculators, and how before that we would pass notes in notebooks and like have shared notebooks with people. So now I'm thinking maybe Jackie's journals are actually between her and Shauna, and that would explain maybe why there's some stuff from like after what is clearly Jackie's death. Now I have come to terms with it. Okay, Jackie's dead.
Yeah.
Oh, rip.
We'll probably still see her in flashbacks, so she'll appear to Shauna, I'm sure.
I don't know, but that just never occurred to me, I don't think, until we were talking about passing notes in that way. And then I thought, oh yeah, like I had shared notebooks with all of my really close friends. So
also it hit home a lot differently, because I was really sold on, we never saw Jackie journaling though. So now I've come to terms with.
Ooh, that's a good point.
Because right from the jump, like with Shauna, when she's waiting to take Jackie to school, she's journaling in the car. So I'm now fine with, yes, there are things in these journals that are post Jackie's death, but it would make sense if they were when she would visit, and maybe she would journal in Jackie's room. That type of thing, because I'm still not chalking that up to any type of production error.
No, I don't think so.
I just think now that I really noticed like how much Jackie was, or excuse me, Shauna was like journaling right from the jump. I was like, okay, well, it makes sense to me now. And how many journals she pulled out of the save.
So many.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, I'm good with
which, like, some of those have to be from afterwards, because how many journals would she have brought on this brief trip? Like,
well, yes.
I mean, unless she's just like super obsessed with journaling and that was like all she packed. The one detail from those journals though, where it says like favorite movies, and I'm pretty sure is the number 1 spot Fear? I mean, I know Fear is on the list, and for whatever reason, I just don't see, I see that being Jackie's favorite, not Shauna's. I don't know why, but
could it be because of the fingering? I'm just joking.
I mean, I don't know.
I'm kidding.
So, and like I should say, I've never seen Fear. I just know so much about it because one of my really close friends loves that movie. And so I'm putting my own lens on that of being like, well, she's kind of more like a Jackie though. So like maybe it's more of like a Jackie, but anyways, yeah, it's such a wild speculation.
It doesn't seem like it would be something Shauna, but then after Shauna gets out of the wilderness, perhaps it could be.
I agree with that for sure. Yes.
We should definitely watch Fear together too, because I would love to see your reaction to the roller coaster scene.
Okay.
Anyway, no. I've become a little more accepting of some of the things. I'm sorry, but I'm not gonna accept that the hubby was eaten by a bear. But I loved even the in the pilot, the disconnect in the Martinez family.
Yeah, it's all right there. Yep.
And gosh, yeah, it was, yeah. I mean, it's hard because I can't make connections because they've done such a great job throughout this whole season of what you're given is just not enough to make a clear connection on things and
Which
stunts.
great.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
But I also loved seeing Kevin again back in high school. And I know we'll see more of him in
Yeah.
but the relationship between Nat and Kevin, it was great to see that too in the pilot versus when they meet back up, in present day. It's very bittersweet.
I love when they're at the party and he's like, aren't you going to the Olympics or something tomorrow? It was such a stoner boner thing to say. It was so good.
Yes. Oh, also that's one thing I wanted to say was it's very ominous to me, but it sets up this dynamic between Misty and Nat that we will see in present day of why Nat would hallucinate Misty of all people.
Right? Or if Misty was there, why she would be standing and staring at Nat. Either way, like what's the connection there?
Yeah, so
I tend to agree. I don't think she was there either. But even if she was, what's Misty's deal of just standing there and staring at her? Yeah. Like either way, it raises so many questions.
Yeah, I thought that was great foreshadowing though. Like it helps me be less, not that I was skeptical of the Nat and Misty connection in present day, but I don't know, it kind of makes it feel a little more like there would be a reason why Nat would go straight to Misty, and we'll probably obviously see it develop more over
for sure
the seasons. But I think it was great foreshadowing that it would be Misty of all people that she would hallucinate standing there.
Yeah, so weird, but so great. This was really fun to revisit. Like
absolutely,
like you, like I can't wait to just rewatch again. I fully thought, like when I put it on and I had my computer ready to take notes, like I thought it would just be sort of easy breezy, like taking notes as the episode was moving through, but I had to pause so often to get all of the thoughts out. And I really, like, I didn't expect that. Like I said at the beginning, I didn't realize that there would still be so much to pick up on, but that's awesome. Like I'm really excited for when we get a season 2 date. Hopefully it's something that we can cover when season 2 comes back, but then to be able to just go back and watch again before season 2 and like, yeah.
Oh, this is totally random, but did you see where the new season of Atlanta is coming?
When it's coming or where?
Like, so a new season of Atlanta.
It's coming soon. Yeah.
That should be something we think about doing something
for sure,
because I fucking love that show. So
I know it's been so long. I'm so glad it's coming back.
So long, and so when I saw that a new season, well, what jogged my memories. We talked about it. The music person being on Atlanta as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I saw that, though, I was like, oh my god, I cannot wait for Atlanta.
Yeah, that comes back like March, right?
I think so. Yeah, I just saw the not trailer, but like the ad for it or whatever.
March 24th.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That would be fun to do something on. But anyway.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'm also really excited about now we're just talking about TV news, but I'm also really excited about Shining Vale, which has Sherilyn Fenn and Courtney Cox, and
that's gonna be good.
Yeah.
So yes, I mean, obviously if you watch the pilot episode of Yellowjackets to watch this video, do go and watch the whole season. Like I think
hopefully you got obsessed too.
Yes, yeah, because it's just such quality TV, and it really has been a very long time since we got something like this, and it deserves all the hype and everything that's being said about it. I mean, I knew that when I first saw the previews for it, like before it aired, I knew it was something I wanted to watch, but then I kind of put it on the back burner because I just kind of forgot about it. Well, Dexter kind of took a little bit of precedence for me because I'm bonded to Dexter. But then obviously you started talking about it. It started getting buzz, and then Stephen King tweeted about it. And I was like, okay,
that's time. Huge. Yeah.
So if the Master of Horror is telling you that it is a brilliantly done, story and show, it's in.
Yeah, that's a pretty big promo.
I listen to only what Steven says. Okay.
What would Steven do? What would Steven watch? Oh my God, is that a new sticker?
I love it.
What would Steven watch?
There's no
Let me
telling that.
make a note.
Yes, but
All right.
thanks y'all for choosing this. I mean, obviously we were super hyped to get back on board with this, and yeah, so
It's in my notes.
boop 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 boop.
Yes, well, thank you, Bookhouse Babes, for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Would love to hear the moment that got you obsessed with the show, even if it's not from the pilot. Like, would love to know what sold you, and yeah, let us know in the comments. And thank you for watching.
If you have watched the entire series, this is not a spoiler in any way because they show the Antler Queen right off the bat.
We're already in spoilers anyway.
Well, true, but still, let us know if you rewatched the pilot to come to this with us. If seeing the Antler Queen for the first time again,
right? Yes.
How did it make you feel? Because I'm gonna be honest, I like the excitement inside of me.
Yes.
Was I can't describe it.
Yeah.
So let us know.
It's an iconic look, and it's an iconic character now. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
agree.
All right. Well, thanks.
All right. Thanks for watching.
Bye.